All right, guys, we're doing another radio show. Thank you very much for joining us. We're trying to figure out how you can hear it through the systems that we have. Unfortunately, it's just whatever. So at this point right now, you're going to be hearing me. That's why I'm kind of going live right now, so you can see that whenever you see any other videos, if you hear some quietness, whatever it is, we're just getting ready to go live. So bear with us as we figure this all out. Okay, bear with me. Let's figure it all out. But yeah, it is going to be pretty much Jose solo for quite some time. Not sure how long. We'll find out. Lord willing, we become millionaires and we can just do this full time, and Ravel will be able to come join us again. Until then, you're stuck with me. All right. We've got probably another minute before we actually go live. We're going to be talking about a couple different things. The number one thing we're going to be talking about, though, is an Axios report about Trump promising unabashedly imperial presidency. What's up, Fred? Thank you for joining. And another one about sort of DeSantis and some, what do you call it, Satanists. We're going live. I'm hearing nothing. All right, welcome to another week of your weekly dose of common sense. I am the Jose, one half of the amazing politically correcting boys. But of course, we always have Bobby D back there while we're doing this live view on our online version here. Make sure you join in on the conversations being had on social media, Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube, even my own LinkedIn. But let's jump into this so that you are better aware of conversations being had, news that's coming out that you may not be aware of. That's my whole point behind doing the show, is making sure that you see through the nonsense, see through the propaganda, see through the media biasness, so that you can make up your own mind. I'd hate for me to be here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to give you the information, probably give you my position on it. You make your own decision on what your beliefs are. Starting off the show here, we got Axios that reports that Trump promises an unabashedly imperial presidency, one that would turn the Justice Department against critics, deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally, slap 10% tariffs on thousands of products, and fire perhaps tens of thousands of government staff deemed insufficiently loyal. Thanks to the recent Supreme Court ruling, Trump could pursue his plans without fear of punishment or restraint. To hear Trump and his allies tell it, this is how early 2025 would unfold if Donald Trump wins. Now, again, this is an Axios report. I will read all off the bullet points. There's like 7 or 8 bullet points here. I'm going to read them all off, and then we're going to go through each point individually. So, again, feel free to join in on conversations on our social media pages. Number one, the first thing that they have going for 2025, what it would look like if Donald Trump wins. It says a reelected Trump would quickly set up vast camps and deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally. He could invoke the Insurrection Act and use troops to lock down the southern border. Number two, in Washington, Trump would move to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants using a controversial interpretation of law and procedure. He'd replace many of them with pre-vetted loyalists. Number three, he'd centralize power over the Justice Department, historically an independent check on presidential power. He plans to nominate a trusted loyalist for Attorney General and has threatened to target and even imprison critics. He could demand the federal cases against him cease immediately. Number four, many of the January 6th convicts could be pardoned, a promise Trump has made at campaign rallies where he hails them as patriots, not criminals. Investigations of the Bidens would begin. Number five, Trump says he'd slap 10% tariffs on most imported goods, igniting a possible trade war and risking short-term inflation. He argues this would give him leverage to create better trade terms to benefit consumers. And finally, number six, conversation would intensify about when Justices Clarence Thomas, who's 76, and Sam Alito, who's 74, would retire. If Trump were to win and the two oldest justices retired, 5 of the 9 justices would have been handpicked by Trump. Not only that, but top Democrats privately predict Republican majorities in the House and Senate if Biden loses. Trump would be backed by an overwhelmingly Trump-friendly Senate and House, loaded with loyalists top to bottom. Okay, those are the points there. There's actually 7 points there, but let's go through each one individually, have a conversation about it, and I'll do my best to capture the comments online as well so that the listeners on the radio show can actually understand, some of the conversations happening in the background. The first thing was a reelected Trump would quickly set up vast camps and deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally. Now, that's quite the loaded statement there, because I think a lot of people would be very okay deporting millions of people who came here illegally. So to sit there and say that he would deport them illegally doesn't really make sense to me. Again, a Latino Democrat, I like to support my fellow Latinos, but at the same time, I like to support the law-abiding Latinos. And if your first action in this country is to break the law, I have a problem with that personally, because guess what? I pay taxes. And when I pay taxes, my money goes to a group of people who I supposedly elected to be the proper people to actually put that money to work. And if my money is going towards people that came here illegally, to then feed them, to then house them in 3 and 4 and 5-star hotels. I'm not sure if 5-star hotels exist. I'm not quite sure. I don't stay in those. But if that's where my money is going towards, I don't want it. And if my money is also going towards when they get caught doing things illegally, they get a free attorney to defend them, I gotta say, again, I don't see how that's something that I want to pay for. You're literally paying for their attorneys to defend them after they jumped a bunch of cops, shot some cops, raped some women, killed some people, some young children in this country. And your tax dollars are going towards their defense team. Not only that, but when they go in front of a judge, that judge is paid for by your tax money as well. And then when they go to jail, you pay for their food, lodging, housing, phone cards, internet nowadays, as well as cell phones. Some of them I see doing TikToks in jail, which is crazy to me. But all of that is paid for by your tax dollars. So for Axios to sit here and say that a reelected Trump would quickly set up vast camps and deport millions of people in the U.S., I'm with it, because I'm tired of paying for their hotel stays. I'm tired of them taking up, areas on the streets with their tents and their families. I don't think that's appropriate. It doesn't happen in any other country. If you are migrating from one country to another, you are in a camp. They put you into a camp. That's just how it is. That's the issue that you have to understand when you take on that role of becoming an illegal immigrant and you're coming to another country saying, I need safety because I'm being persecuted by my government. You automatically understand in any other country, for the most part, that you will be put into a camp until they figure out, number 1, who you are. Number 2, your past history. Number 3, what you bring to the table. Number 4, if you're even being honest. And I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. When some, bleeding heart liberals hear that they're going to be put in camps, they're thinking concentration camps. Well, I'm thinking a freaking nice tent that I didn't have before, in a country with freedoms that I didn't have before, with safety for my family that I didn't have before, with opportunity to actually come into a country and build something for myself and my family that I didn't have before. So yeah, if I have to struggle through living in a camp with a bunch of other people until they realize who I am and that I pose no threat to their country, I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with that because I know that the short-term issues that I have to deal with to turn around and get the long-term benefits of it far outweigh the concerns. So when they say he can invoke the Insurrection Act and use troops to lock down the southern border, yes. Yes, please. That's exactly what I want. Number 2, in Washington, Trump would move to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants using a controversial interpretation of law and procedure. This is actually something that my boy Vivek Ramaswamy came up with. And if Trump is down with that, because we saw what happened to Twitter when, Elon Musk fired 80 something percent of the employees there, it didn't implode. X is still there. We don't need these many jobs that President Joe Biden is claiming to have increased. He sat there and said, "Oh, we increased jobs by 500,000 jobs." Well, 350,000 of them were freaking government jobs. Again, your tax dollars at work. And I don't personally believe that at least this administration, but for the most part, government in general, are just not very good with money. That's not a bad thing to say. That's not anti-American to sit there and say that, hey, guess what? I want my money going towards or going into the hands of people that, can bring me benefit from it, that can invest the dollars and hopefully bring me more from that. I have no problem paying taxes. My problem is if I'm not getting the benefits of my tax dollars and someone else is, that's a problem. That's a very big problem. The second part to that, number 2, it says that Donald Trump would replace many of them with pre-vetted loyalists. I doubt Donald Trump is going to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants and then replace them with pre-vetted loyalists. That doesn't even make sense. That just doesn't make sense. You think he has tens of thousands of pre-vetted loyalists? Come on. These people are just not right in the head. When we come back from this break, I'm going to go through some of the comments here on social media. We're going to jump into the last 3 or 4 points there. Feel free to give us a call. The phone calls come through. I can hear them now. Maybe the people online can't, but oh well. We'll be able to have the conversations here on the WYSL station, 346-3000, or go to our social media pages and feel free to jump in on the conversations there. We'll be right back after this. All right, guys, so this is where a lot of music goes on. That Free Ride. I'll be back there playing Free Ride that you guys can't hear, unfortunately. But also, on top of that, Facebook and YouTube actually blocks some of our videos for playing music. We are a radio station. God forbid we play music. And our government, that's what I say, our government. It's like my number one answer. Our government has no idea what the heck they're doing. And yet we keep giving them money. Here. Conversations, how do you think how watching on my lunch hour at work? That's fantastic, Debbie. Thank you so much for your lunch hour with me. I greatly appreciate that. That was better. Oh, a lot more tan. Look at the tan I got from my vacation. Hello from Colorado. Yeah, that's right. Our radio station, this show is absolutely countrywide. Actually, worldwide. We have like one person in like South America that watches this show. Hey, cool with that. Yeah, what do you guys think of those first two? A re-elected Trump would quickly set up fast camps and deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally. What do you feel about that? Saying he could invoke the Insurrection Act and use troops to lock down the southern border. What do you guys think about that? Second point, in Washington, Trump would move to fire potentially tens of thousands of civil servants using a controversial interpretation of law and procedure. I don't know. Doesn't sound right to me. All right, we got a caller here. I'm sorry you guys can't hear it, but we do have Keith on the line, who is a huge lover of Cougars. Yeah, sure. What else on the show? Let you see this. All right, we are back talking about an Axios, a article discussing what it would look like under a President Trump 2025. We've already gone over two of the first topics there out of the seven, and we have a caller, Keith. Keith, how you doing, brother? Thank you so much, as always, Keith, for calling in. I'm going to go ahead and allow everyone on social media to understand it. The first thing that you stated was thousands of people embedded in government that were kind of, what do you call it? Is it shoehorning? Is that the term? But they were not basically giving President Trump all the information to make the proper decisions. They were actually going against what he was asking them to do. So, with that first part, showing that he would fire a bunch of people. I'm sorry, the second part where he would fire a bunch of people. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want to look if I'm the CEO of a corporation and I had a bunch of employees who are freaking going against what I'm telling them to do. Guess what? You get fired. Simple as that. I don't care if you're a government employee. Do your job and do your job without any political bias. That is your job. I've seen it even here locally on city council when people would basically just not answer my emails, not give me the information that I needed simply because they didn't agree with my politics. And I would have to go above them and say, hey, this person's not doing their job. I am requesting this information. I am a city council person. I deserve to have that information. I hate the fact that I just said city council person. I just had a meeting the other day where I had to refer to one as a city council person. I'm a city council man. All right. Second part, he said, talk about Trump golfing and how conservatives did not hold him accountable to how many days he took off to go out onto the golf courses. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of the liberal media was definitely on top of that. You see now that the conservative shows are on top of Joe Biden, how many days he's taken off and gone to his beach house, his other house, his whatever house, however many houses he has, because, being a politician for 50 years obviously affords a luxurious lifestyle to where you can have multiple houses on this same water that you're going to go ahead and turn around and claim it will go ahead and, because of climate change, erode away and you'll lose your beach house. But no, somehow presidential houses are, abstaining from climate change. The third thing that Keith said there with the it's payback time. That's what a lot of people are afraid of. That is certainly what a lot of people are afraid of, that it is payback time, that there are some people that, what Keith said, need to be round up and sent to Guantanamo Bay. I would put Dr. Fauci into that one for sure. I would put the FBI, who were kind of giving him misinformation and hiding things from Donald Trump. I mean, that was on the caught on undercover video, someone that works for them stating that they were hiding information from Donald Trump. That absolutely, you are anti-American. Not only that, with the SAVE Act that they're pushing forward, the Republicans are pushing forward regarding preventing illegal citizens, illegal migrants, illegal immigrants, illegal whatever you want to call them. They're not citizens of the United States of America. Plain and simple. The bill will prevent them from voting. Well, President President Biden just came out and said that he's going to veto any bill that comes up that says that illegal migrants can't vote. Your president of the United States came out and said he's going to veto that bill if it makes it his way. We got Mike on the line. Mike, how you doing? Good. What you got for us today? Well, you bring up a good point there. The caller did call for, or did say that there will be a civil war if Trump can't do what he needs to do legally. My hope is that it never gets to that point, that we can actually handle things through legal means, through legislation, without having to get to that level. But I know that there's certainly a lot of people out there who do feel that at a certain point, our country did have to take up arms, and they feel like we're getting to that point. Now, Mike, where are your thoughts? Do you think that we shouldn't ever have a civil war, that no matter what the government does, we should never resort to taking back our country? Okay, let's go with that conversation. I'm glad that you called in and discussed this, because you're saying that no one's been aggrieved by the Biden administration to the point where they should be even thinking about taking up arms. I've got to say there are a lot of Americans who lost their jobs because of Joe Biden's illegal pushing of requiring vaccines for major corporations. He did not have that authority, and there's a lot of people out there who lost out on being able to feed their children, feed their family, keep their house, keep their car, keep everything they've worked for, because of Joe Biden overstepping his abilities as president. And that's what the Supreme Court said. So do you not think that at some point there are going to be people who are kind of upset to the point where they're saying, you took away everything from me, why can't I stand up for myself? I know I'm going to guess that you're not a two-way supporter, is my understanding. But definitely tell me if I'm wrong here. Okay. Well, actually, you made a good point there. I think you are right about that when it comes to uh, arming yourselves against your fellow citizens who kind of do not agree with you. I will certainly agree with you on that one. Just the fact that there's another person, let's say your neighbor, who, let's say you're a Republican and your neighbor is a bleeding heart liberal who was calling you in during COVID because you were stepping outside against what they believe was right. You should not. I do not believe that you should go and shoot your neighbor. All right. I do not believe that at all. I do believe that our founding fathers, when they put the guns, it's the Second Amendment, as a second freaking amendment there was to defend the First Amendment, saying that if the government ever oversteps that First Amendment, you should use the Second Amendment. I think that they have overstepped the First Amendment. I think we've done it for a number of years, though. I would love to continue this conversation, Mike, if you want to stay on. We're going to get to a break now. It's going to be extended break, though. Feel free to call back in if you like. I really enjoyed that conversation. Guys, definitely join in. This is the Politically Correcting Show. That was fantastic insight there. I really do want to go into that a little bit deeper after this break. Yeah, we're at the YSL station. So let me tell you guys. So that caller was calling in stating that me as an elected official, how dare I not denounce the fact that there was a caller who basically said that he wants to round up all liberals, all the people who kind of went against our rights and against Donald Trump and against his ability to run the country as president. They should be rounded up. He might say Gitmo Bay. I think it was Guantanamo Bay. I'm not quite sure. Either way, he said that if Trump can't do legally what he needs to do, that there will be a civil war. And there's a lot of people out there who feel as though it's gotten to that point already, but it would certainly get to that point if they kind of either if they prevent President Trump from doing what he needs to do. Um, that's a tough conversation to have because it is tough to sit there and say that you should take up arms and shoot another human being. That's very hard to do. A lot of people think they can point a gun at another human being and pull that trigger. You think you could do that, but there's a lot of people out there that ain't got it. They ain't got it. They ain't not a killer. There's a lot of people out there who aren't a killer, but don't push them. And there's a lot of people out there who have itchy trigger fingers. A lot of people out there with PTSD, not from war necessarily, but from everything they've been seeing for the past 60 years. And they're just tired of seeing it. I'm not blind to the fact that our listeners on the station tend to be uh, right of center, but I'm glad that people who are not, who are left of center or further left, do feel empowered to call in and give their insight and to be able to call us out for where they disagree with us. Absolutely, you should definitely feel that way. We got look at us. We already got kicked off of a. It says can't post comments to some destinations. Which one is it? Look at that. They already kicked us off of one of them. Um, scroll up here. Yeah, probably because of me, right? Reference to take up arms against Biden, probably, or Dr. Fauci. So lots on social media are overreacting to the whole Project 2025 thing. Total BS when it comes to Agenda 47. That's a great point, Fred. Um, it is amazing how much research Democrats would do when it's not going up against the own mentality. So I would love to have seen that kind of investigative research from these people during COVID than this whole Project 25 thing, because the media is just open fire with that. Tornado warnings across most of central New York today. Sure. I mean, it's been dark out. Is it going to be a tornado though? We know. We'll get tornado too. Under tornado watch until 9 p.m. Does that mean that we may get an actual like twister? Okay. Well. All right, is Mike still on the line? Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Can you tell the Mike that it's probably gonna take quite some time? He might wanna call in for the all right, thank you. The Mike stayed on the line. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mike stayed on the line for further conversation. I look forward to this conversation because I am I'm certainly a two-way supporter. He said he's a two-way supporter. He just doesn't believe that the founding fathers originally believed this to be if you disagree with the government, you have the right to go up against them. I just I believe that's exactly what they were doing. Um, yeah, for stealing our tax dollars, Biden has lived like a fucking king. Yeah, actually fucking out here. I can't stand it. Damn, Jose, you are making sense today. Yeah, the entire Democrats are against any act or bill that makes it illegal for any illegal alien or non-citizen to vote in our elections. All this is not treason. All our tax-paid government officials should vote to keep our elections for only Americans to be able to vote. It's in our Constitution. Biden and his fellow Democrats ignore and don't follow our Constitution. You can't say that Fred is incorrect here. I'm sorry, Todd, right? Yeah, you can't say that Todd is incorrect here. If Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, has been told multiple times by the Supreme Court that he has overstepped his abilities, overstepped his powers, and you can say that him and his fellow Democrats ignore and follow the Constitution. That's exactly what the Supreme Court said. Fred, we all have the right to choose our elected officials. All right, last topic. All right, we are back with, I believe, to be a very genuine and very needed conversation because this is certainly something that I have within my own mind. Uh, you know, this kind of conversation with the devil on the left, the angel on the right shoulder about how do we handle when is it time to take up arms like our forefathers originally stated we should do when we feel as if our government has become tyrannical. This is the politically correcting show. We've got Mike still on the line, right? Mike? Awesome. I really appreciate you staying on, brother. I really want to have this conversation some more here. Um, so you said that you believe the forefathers did not originally intend on if we believe our government to be tyrannical that we should not just take up arms. Or am I saying that correctly? I don't want to misstate what you said. No, you're hitting on a point that yeah, I know. I think that is a completely separate topic. You're saying that if it's a bad economy, I don't believe we should get up in arms and go after that. I'm saying if we believe it to be a tyrannical government to the point, let's say that, for example, they come out with a medical procedure that they force you to take and your entire family, and your children are harmed by it. You lose your job because of it because you refuse to take it. And then information comes out. Actually, information has been out the entire time that that shot could cause adverse effects, and you weren't allowed to be notified about that. Could you then say that that might have been tyrannical? Okay, so okay, we'll go with that. I agree that there's certainly a some leeway there. what then would be what would constitute a time when Americans should feel aggrieved to the point where they should take up arms? Or are you saying there never would be? Okay, so if elected official chooses not to leave. Okay. Chooses not to leave. Okay, so what if information comes out that says that our election process was in fact rigged? Would that constitute as well? No, no, no. I'm not saying that it has. I'm not saying it has. I think that there's instances of, um, not purposefully, but there have been instances where illegal immigrants have voted. Dead people have voted. I do not believe personally that there's enough of that to really overturn an election. I think it's very spotty here or there, but some people may disagree with me. You're saying that the only time is when someone chooses not to leave office. What about if there's been times in history where America has bombed a city in Puerto Rico and use it as testing grounds where people were becoming getting cancer. Should then we pick up arms? We still are, yeah. A commonwealth, sorry. Yes. Because this was only 24 years ago that they stopped bombing. No, no, Mike, this is okay. So if a government bombs a city, then you should feel free to go ahead and return the favor. I don't want. No, 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 no. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to push you into a corner at all, Mike. This is seriously a genuine conversation I want to have here. Because I agree. I think that that's the issue that I have. I heard someone actually ask one time before, you know, is it time to start picking up our guns? When is it time? And I can't answer that. I have no idea if it's that time. Keith, the caller, said that he's pretty much at that point, and I do believe that there are others who feel the same way. I would like to say, look, do not do that because the government has armies, navies, space force that they can squash you pretty quickly. So I'm not one for taking up the arms and going because you disagree with the outcomes of election or that you believe that there might be some forces within the government who are preventing the president from doing their job appropriately. That's a tough battle for me to say. Time to pick up arms because you have to have some real concrete evidence. I think you would agree with that. All right. Okay. All right. I'm not going to take ownership of pushing people to want to take up arms because of election denialism. I do personally believe that I've seen some of the documentaries out there. Let's say, was it 2000 Mules? I tend to watch documentaries on both sides to kind of find out where I stand. I do believe that ballot harvesting has been proven across the country. I believe there was a lady in actually Texas actually that got tried and has to go to jail because of it. Now, was there widespread? Sure, but I see that's my thing. I don't care what side. You should not. See, I don't, but that's my difference right there. You're saying Republican Democrat thing. I don't believe in a two-party system. I don't believe that there's an entity within our government that is Democrat that's trying to destroy the country or Republican trying to destroy the country. I believe that there is an elite group of people who are above politics, above country, above, all of that, that may be steering things in a certain direction just using their dollars. Now, the fact that that lady that got arrested and went to jail was Republican, okay. I'm just saying that there have been instances of ballot harvesting that have been tried and gone to court because they're what? Because she was caught, but she was caught on a high. She was caught by an undercover reporter. I agree. Now, I also know that there has been inconsistencies with a lot of these electronic election devices. Have you seen those as well, or do you believe that our our electronic election devices are infallible, or just not infallible to the point where they would? Go ahead. Well, Mike, I really appreciate the conversation. I think that there might be more conversation there to be had. I'm not sure if you want to stay on, but we'll certainly be open to having a conversation. We're going to commercial here. We'll be back after this break. So the gentleman was saying that there's not enough of a of evidence to show that there has been election fraud. There's not enough evidence to show that Biden overstepped his, rights to the point where you should take up arms against the government. There's not enough evidence that shows that it's Democrats that are kind of messing with the election system. That's why I said I don't believe in a two-party system. I don't believe that there's one party that's kind of going against the other in a subversive way. I believe it is something much bigger than uh, any kind of political party. I believe that it. Yep, yep. Under tornado warning. The rain is coming down pretty hard over here now. Uh, no, I did not get the warning. Oh, I don't know. I turned them off. Yeah, that sucks. I left my lunch in my Jeep that I brought with me because it was fish, and I didn't want to reheat fish in a public commissary area. So I was like, I'll just leave it in a Jeep in the Tupperware, and it would kind of like warm up by itself over time. So now I got to go out into the rain to get my lunch. No, you're good. Um, I don't know. This is why we certainly need to work on getting the audio in through the online because I like that. I love that type of conversation. I prefer to have that conversation face to face over a drink because I wanted to make sure that Mike understood that I wasn't trying to put him. I think he felt like I was trying to put him into a corner with my questions, and I really wasn't. I was trying to kind of gauge. All right, thank you. Trying to gauge where he would agree with me. That was all. Hey, one of my favorite songs. I don't care what anyone says about Ricky Martin. That's my boy right there. But anyways, we're back with the politically correcting show here, and just had a great conversation with Mike. I believe to be a great conversation. I believe he had valid points. I'm not gonna say I agreed with him. I'm not gonna say that he was right. I say he had valid points that I would love to personally hash out in person over a drink, because I want him to understand that I did not mean any ill will. Was not trying to put him into a corner at all. I think he has some valid points, and we need to hash out where maybe we agreed on some things. But we do have the Mike on the line as well. What's going on, the Mike? Thanks for holding. You're gonna disagree? All right. New York, yep. 330. 338,000 were in the county, not in the county, in the state. Okay. Right. Yeah, I agree, Mike, that, before you go into your third one there, I completely agree that, and I'm sorry that your family, had to go through that where you had family members that lost their job, not taking the clot shot. I'll go ahead and agree with that as well. I don't care what social media says. There is plenty of evidence for that. Um, Continue on with your third part. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think the Congo or anywhere in the Far East is anywhere near where a lot of these refugees are ending up. I agree. And the Mike, I appreciate you. Uh-huh. The Mike, thank you so much for calling. I definitely agree with you there. The Mike said that he agrees, or he at least understands where Keith is coming from in his angst about where this country is headed. I mean, and what Mike added onto that, or the Mike, sorry, was the between 7 and 11 million illegal immigrants that came in, who claimed to be, they claimed refugee asylum from war-torn conflict. And that's when he brought up, should we, how is it that these countries, where they're coming from, they're claiming war-torn conflict, how did they even get to America? That's always been my question. How did they even get here to begin with? And you're saying that these are invaders. These are full of communist invaders who want to take from us, who want to take from America, who want to bring America down. I would hate to agree with you, but I can't disagree with you, because being from military intelligence as my background, being from the Army, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing the types of people come across the border and looking at what they look like, seeing grown men who are, between the ages of 18 and 35, young men who are, who can obviously handle themselves, who are tatted up. And then if you look at the crime in the countries that they're coming from, somehow, some way, crime has gone down dramatically. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I do not put Donald Trump up on a pedestal by any means. He is not my savior. But there are many people out there who do. It's kind of sad, really, because Donald Trump is not going to save this country. The only person, being, thing that can save this country is God himself. And we've seen in the